I discovered some information online about motorcycling with new riders and ABS, and how new riders should not ride a motorcycle with ABS because it teaches them bad habits. It teaches them to rely on their ABS more than their motorcycle skills. And I guess what they mean is that a new rider is going to be riding too hard, braking too hard, and I just don't buy that. This is from experience. I started on a motorcycle without ABS, and then I switched a year later to a motorcycle with ABS. And I'll tell you right now, I didn't notice a difference, because I didn't hop on a motorcycle and think, hey, I've got ABS, I can do whatever I want, the motorcycle is going to protect me. Most modern cars, all modern cars, have ABS, unless you're driving something really old. Your cars have ABS. People are not, well, most people are not running up to stop signs and red lights and hammering on their brakes until their ABS connects. And a person would know when their ABS connects because it's quite aggressive. If you've ever done it, you know. Now, I just don't buy that a motorcycle rider riding a motorcycle with ABS is going to be riding recklessly or dangerous because they're trusting their ABS brakes. I could be wrong. That makes no sense to me. The other thing that I discovered was flat footing. There's some information out there that if you cannot flat foot a motorcycle on both feet on a motorcycle, then you should not be riding, and you're riding dangerous. I have never been able to flat foot a motorcycle since I started riding. My first motorcycle was a KLR 650, and it was so tall that I couldn't flat foot. So what do? I put one foot down, as I'm taught in the basic motorcycle riding school, and that's put the left foot down and keep my right foot on the peg and on the brake. The only time I would switch that is off-road, depending on the slope that I'm on, if I'm turned sideways, because I actually put the wrong foot down a couple times and dropped my bike. There are so many riders out there that cannot flat foot their motorcycle. There's lots of short riders riding adventure bikes. There's riders like me, I'm average height, I'm 5'10", 32 inch inseam, and I still can't flat foot this beast from 1000, even though it's just a little bit shorter than what my KLR was. And there's actually training videos out there that show people what they call the duck waddle, coming up to intersections and waddling their bike along, and how it kind of looks stupid and it's not safe because you don't have a foot on your brake. Another one that I wonder about is newer riders shouldn't be chasing more horsepower. Now, I don't really buy that one either. Now, I guess that depends on the person. So it's not necessarily a person chasing more horsepower. I've been chasing more horsepower. I had a KLR 650 that only had 40 horsepower, and I wanted more, but I wanted more for the highway. I didn't want more so that way I could be racing along, doing stunts, doing wheelies, or anything like that. I needed more horsepower for traveling. Now, do I wish I started with more horsepower when I first started to learn? No, I think the 40 horsepower I had was sufficient enough. But I was chasing more horsepower, and what I didn't do when I got this bike that over doubled my horsepower, I didn't lose control of the bike. I didn't take off. The bike just didn't go riding on its own without me. I rode within my limits. So that's the other thing, chasing more horsepower. Now, do I want a motorcycle with 200 horsepower? Hell yeah, I want a motorcycle with 200 horsepower. Am I going to get one? No. I just would like to try it. But I'm not going to get on it, and the first thing I do is just reef on the throttle and go. I never did that with my 40 horsepower machine. I never had to do that. Why would I do it with something that's got more horsepower? So that's the other thing I kind of want to debunk that. Now, if you think differently, please feel free to leave a comment below, or even if you feel the same as me, I'd like to hear about it. Another misconception that I'd like to deal with relates to communication devices. There's information out there suggesting that for any rider, communication devices are dangerous. They're dangerous whether you're listening to music, not concentrating on the ride, or even if you're communicating with friends and not paying attention to the ride. Now, I will agree with this, but only 50%. I will not 100% agree with this, and I'll tell you why. I don't agree that just having a communication device is going to be dangerous for a rider. The reason for that is we don't have a lot to concentrate already. When people listen to music, it's easy to listen to the music, hear the music, and just have it in the background and not really pay attention to it. We know that from driving a car. Unless you're right into the song and you're singing the song, it could be different. And the same goes with concentrating when you're talking to someone that you're riding with. I've ridden with a few buddies where we communicate through the Comm system, and quite frankly, it is much safer. We have a much better ride than we would without, because the rider in front can communicate any dangers, whether that's a pothole or a car they see that might be coming out. We can talk about that. We're not blabbing the entire way. I guess if you had someone blabbing, I mean, I would probably mute them anyway, but if you had someone blabbing the entire way, that would be much different. So I just don't believe the communication devices are dangerous in that sense. Where I do believe they are dangerous is if you're listening to an audiobook or maybe a radio station like a talk station or not. And the reason for that is a person can get so involved in the story that you will actually get distracted when you're riding the motorcycle and miss things. There's a difference between hearing music in the background and actually listening to and concentrating onto a story. And to give you an example, I have a friend of mine, he was riding and he was listening to a hockey game. He got so distracted by a play in the hockey game that he very nearly ran a red light and had to hammer on the brakes and come to a stop almost into the intersection. And when he related that story to me, he said, I no longer listen to the radio because I don't want to be too involved with that. So that's a story from a friend of mine. So there we go, listening to music, talking to friends, I don't think that's a big deal. Listening to audiobooks or something, maybe talk radio, that is totally different. That could be distracting. That's probably something that a person should not be doing. Here's another one. This one might be a bit contentious. I'm not going to get into it too deeply. Loud pipes save lives. The only thing I'm going to say is if you have loud pipes, just say you want loud pipes because you want the sound of your motorcycle to be better. That's all I have to say about that. Thanks for watching. Take care and ride safe.